Hey, Laura J. Acting like a panda this day when I am on my way to Modo Yoga, where I'm going to start doing an energy exchange again because it works for my lifestyle and how I'd like to use the studio and be part of it, which are not exclusively the same. Use and being part of. Like, just because you pay for something doesn't mean that you have an equal investment in the care of it or for it as someone else does. And I take off my hat because I don't think we need to go under those banners, flagships, or logos any longer. Did you ever make the connection between the logos of the logic mind by the Greek standard and the fact that our logic has been called logos, and then we have logos in corporations, so that then we identify corporations and corporate entities by their logo? Because that's literally the logos of the logic that business is based on, which is the charter, their constitution, the manifesto of the ship that tracks all of the contents of it. All of these pieces are important to be aware of because we will be ported like ants if we don't see the importance of staying the first person in our own story, of recognizing that the logos of logic within a corporation that has branded logos to define it and distinguish it between itself and other entities, the logos is what defines it, and our logos of logic is what will define us and our lives if we allow ourselves to be capped by the consciousness or logos of another. Which is why it is so important when we are understanding statutory law and statutes, for us to understand they are the statutes, essentially, that men and women of the past have left behind them to put into stone that which would have just been a mindful consideration prior to having it grounded and written in hand, by hand, in ink or paint or whatever the substance of the vehicle through which the ink or art is made. The vehicle doesn't matter as much as what comes from it, what or who it is able to move from point A to point B. These things matter more than we may have considered, which is precisely why it is time for us to get really clear about what's important, about what logic we are willing to agree with and align with, and what we just absolutely say no, cannot, will not, no thank you, not acceptable, not appropriate. I think about the fact that Adam Skelly with Adamson Barbecue is on day 2 of their trial right now for violating the COVID Emergency Measures Act that demanded restaurants close or enforce protocols that cost the corporation that was enforcing them a lot. And it was implemented or sent down as an order from people that most people are not connected to, have never met, don't know. That's a problem. Anonymity has implications that can be dangerous for those who are impacted by them. So, with all of that being said, what I would really love for you to consider on this day is, what logos have you been giving your power to? What logos has been getting stood up by you, held up by you? What have you been enforcing? What have you been supporting? What have you been giving validity to because you are the one who advocates for or against it, both of which give it energy? What logos of a corporate nature have you vested your energy into, and how is that serving you? What logos of non-physical items or paraphernalia have you also invested your energy into? What limiting beliefs have you granted power over the life force energy that you have and that your life reflects the use of? Because life uses life force energy, and others will use our life force energy if we let them. So we have to ask and really get serious about what we're giving access to our energy, how it's serving us, how it's serving others, whether it is sustainable, a very important consideration, and how that fits within the map and model of your world. The map and model of your world is essentially the way that you say the territory of your life is structured. That's the map. This happens over here, this is over here, that's there. Those descriptors are defined by our map of the world, which is what we see reality to be. The model of the world is the larger picture that the puzzle is based off of in 2D instead of 3D, where the outline of what it's supposed to look like when it comes into completion is presented, oftentimes. So, as I go by 4 crows on the side of the road, I say there is magic around and magic abounds. And I am grateful to have reached out to Rachel at Modo and got myself back with the energy exchange program. I'm really looking forward to it because my body is missing the hot room. It's literally like the equivalent to a temple for my body that my soul also gets to have reprieve by being part of. And there is a community of people who have become familiar faces I recognize and have relations with to varying degrees, because for the last near year, I have on and off been going to Modo Yoga Brooklyn. So relationships naturally develop as you become familiar with people, as you learn their stories, as you move through life and share memories that can be reflected on commonly. It is an expanded common ground, and it matters because our common ground is what gives us common talking points, which allows us both or all to get involved because we were all there. We all have a perspective. We all have some level of connection to it, even if we might not be the expert in it. And these are the things that we are being called to get more conscious of. And that is why I am so grateful to be on my way where I am this morning. And I hope the same can be said for you, wherever it is that you're on your way to when you are listening to this. If en route somewhere, or maybe you're at home. I wonder what you're doing when you watch this. This is nearly 10 minutes of really significant considerations and concepts, content to consider. So I'd love to know where you're doing it. And I would love to know what the most significant consideration that this video brings up for you is. Because if you comment what it is and answer that question, you're going to be further ahead than if you didn't. And when I say answer the question, I don't mean share the answer that you come up with, but I would encourage you to share the question that prompts the consideration you're going to have, because that's where your power of finding that answer truly exists, in the question that also lifts and shifts others' perspectives onto that same shared focal point. Your question then becomes for you and them, who are able to consider it equally because they've had time to. And sometimes we just need a little bit of space in order to consider things at our own pace without feeling rushed, which triggers our nervous system. So, with all of that said, I hope you have a spectacular day wherever it is that you are. And I hope that the logos in your head and heart reflects the fact that you are part of something larger than you. You are part of life. And that means all of us are connected through it. Our shared lifeline is life itself. And if that is the case, and I believe that it is true that it is, well, what that means is that you are here for more than your own gratification, though your gratification is part of the equation that should not be squashed or diminished neither. So, how are you going to use your life to be of the greatest benefit to all involved in this amazing experience called life?